Today's guests are two incredible women who ride motorcycles around the world. They ride together, they ride apart, they ride alone. They ride because it's the thing that gives each of them the freedom they can't live without. Natalie, also known as Nata on the road, is a Swiss nomadic adventurous soul who has spent the last 20 years traveling. She's a writer, a photographer, and a storyteller who shares her raw and real adventures on two wheels around the world. Adina, known online as Moto.Adde, a sweet woman who has more recently embraced traveling on two wheels, is a writer, a fashion designer, and a storyteller who turned motorcycles into both her healing journey and her freedom. Thank you both for being here today and taking time off from your real life to be on this podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you both.
Thank you, Elena. That was such a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Well, I think you are wonderful women, and I was so inspired when I saw you both in Bali. I was so happy, when I was writing to both of you, go there and do that, and I'm going to come too. And then you said, oh, but that was a month ago. We're not together. I was so sad because I was living it. I'd just been to Bali before, and I was like, I missed them. But I think we were there at the same time, actually.
And I
Oh, we
think
were.
we still have a lot to post, so people are going to get confused.
Well,
There's
this
so much
podcast
more.
is going to appear in a while, so it's going to be, we never know when we can post them. So I've been following you both on social media. You are very active, both of you. I hope I got the introduction right. So Nata, it's been 20 years since you're traveling?
A lot. Almost all my life.
Okay.
I don't count anymore, but I left Switzerland with 18, and I would have left earlier if I could.
How would you describe yourself for somebody who hasn't heard about you yet?
I think I would make a very different description depending on who the person is and the context. Like, I don't feel like I fit in just one description. Like the one you just made of me in the introduction is the perfect description of me for a motorcycle context. But if I meet someone, I don't know, in the supermarket, that would not be at all the kind of description I would make. So it's hard for me to describe myself with just one etiquette or just a few words. But I truly think the one you just made of me is perfect. Like motorbike, road trip, nomadic is something very important for me because it's the thing I feel the most different from the rest of the people about. Like truly 100% nomadic people are really rare to find. And when I find them, I really feel like there is that special connection. So I think it's a great word that you picked to describe me.
And what about you, Adina?
Oh, I would say the same thing. Like it really depends on who I am, and also I think I have too many like special interests as well. So to just pick one is like I just started scuba
Don't pick one.
diving. Yeah, so I just started scuba diving, and that's now sort of what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to become an instructor. I just got my dive master, and then I'm gonna do this whole trip in Australia with the motorcycle. So the motorcycle is really good at description because that's like at my core. For Nata, it's the nomadic thing. For me, it's really motorcycles. I feel like that I'm never gonna let go of that. Motorcycles are just a part of me. So I do actually kind of introduce myself to random people in that way. So I guess that would be
Do
the
you
thing.
introduce yourself like, hello, I'm a motorcycle rider?
No, but usually if
I
people
never
like
say that.
usually
I
I
would more
just
say like I'm
kind
a
of
traveler, maybe.
weave it in somewhere and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
hi.
Yeah. If you have a passion, then you have to talk about it. I think it's something that you have to put out in the world. But Adina, you were a fashion designer before. What made you quit everything and get on the road?
Well, I studied fashion design 2 years, and then I started garment tech, which is more sort of pattern making and more kind of the link between production and fashion design. But I did study fashion design, and I have developed a lot of clothing, and my internships has been sort of more like a fashion role. But for the last 2 years, I actually worked for a company, a tent company. So I was a product developer slash pattern maker for Hilleberg, which is they make tents. They make some of the best tents in the world, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions. So I wanted to go into fashion in the beginning, but it sort of slowly turned into realization of how bad the industry is. The fashion industry is it's very dirty. You see all this glamour and you see all the cool things, and I love creating art and being creative and working with my hands and doing things like this. But I slowly realized that this is not what I thought it was going to be. It's more fast paced. It's a lot about money, and it's not what I thought it was going to be. So I slowly kind of started going into garment tech. And then I wanted to do motorcycle clothing. That was my dream. But it was really, really hard to try and get into it. I did a 5-month internship with John Doe. They are a company in Germany and they make really, really good motorcycle clothing. And I had a really good time there. But I just kind of still felt like this was not really what I had imagined. And then I got the tent job, and that was really, really fun, where I got to be more creative and I think outside of the box, because it's not on a person anymore, it's on a steel frame. And I tried
You do
for
whatever
2
you want.
years. Yes,
You have to
it's
fit
way
into a
more
body.
it's way more free, and I had a bigger role. So I was in charge of production, and I had contacts with the production in Estonia. And I also got to come up with really technical solutions, and we had a really great team at Hilleberg. So I just really, really, I liked that small team. We were only, I think, 18 people at the time when I was working. So it was a really nice workplace. But unfortunately, I've always had this drive. In 2022, I think, was when I left for my very first long distance solo motorcycle trip. And I did 10,000 kilometers to Italy and then back again to Sweden on the Himalayan, like the one Nata is riding. And then I came back. Money ran out, and then I couldn't ride anymore. So I took a job.
But tell me, the first time that you rode a motorcycle, that story that you posted about going to have ice cream, and it was
Yes.
the moment that life changed for you. I mean, you got from fear to love at first sight. Can you
It
tell us?
was
Can you elaborate a bit?
It was definitely like that. Like I did not like motorcycles from the beginning. I was very like the fashion girl and very like into clothes and very girly, and
I
I
can
wore
imagine that.
dresses. Like, isn't that so weird? Nata met me as the adventure girl, like how I am now, and it's so different. It's like night and day. So they were smelly, and it was my ex boyfriend at the time who was very, very interested in bikes. So he had a lot of different bikes, and he was constantly like encouraging me to come on the back. But I was just like, no, they're very loud and they're very fast, and my mom at the same time was also very worried. So she was like, don't go on the motorcycle. But then he bribed me. He was like, we should go get ice cream. But the only way you can get ice cream is if you sit on the back of the motorcycle. And I just remember like him pulling the throttle. And I was just like, oh, I got like this like rush of like
Like a good
endorphins, I
feeling.
think. Or yes, yeah. It was just kind of like, yeah, it was like love at first sight. It was really like, wow, why am I sitting back here? Like I wanna do that. Like that's fun. That's really fun. Like I wanna do that.
I think he
So and
wasn't
yeah,
expecting that.
no, 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 no.
No.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be awful. Like I'm gonna hate it. But no. And then also like the whole feeling of being outside, but you're on a vehicle. Like you get all like it was summer at the time, so you get all these Swedish summer fields with like the flowers, and you get like all those smells inside the vibes. Well, you guys know, you know the feeling. Like
You're a good storyteller. You can explain the
ah,
sensation of actually moving outside, not being in a car. The
yes,
difference.
because
Yeah.
once and it's so different. It's so different, and it
Almost
was
like
just like
flying.
a yes, it was like flying. You have the wind. I stretched my arms out, and you could like feel it on your hands, and you're just like, oh my god, this is the best. Like I want to do this for the rest of my life. So
And
yeah.
so you did your license right away after this?
Um, I started. I got like the practice to practice. So in Sweden, it's quite you have a lot of restrictions. So you have to get someone else with you. So I'm actually my ex dad became my instructor, I guess you can say. So I couldn't ride alone without. I had to ride with him at
Oh,
all times.
so
And if I
different.
did anything illegal or wrong, it would be on his license. So he would be kind of responsible of my training. I was 19 at the time. I didn't have a lot of money, so I was just practicing on one of their little bikes.
Mhm.
And then at 23, it took me 3 times to pass my test.
It's it's a nice experience. I mean, you have to pass it so that you can
Of,
go into
of
traffic.
course,
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that the tests are very hard
Mhm.
because it just makes you a so much better rider. And actually, after that, I've actually been taking some courses in Sweden. They're called SMC, which stands for Sveriges motorcyklister. In Swedish, it's the Swedish motorcyclists.
Mhm.
And they make really, really good courses. They call them like the rust off courses. For every spring, they can make them so you can take them and
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
polish on
A
your
refresh.
skills after winter. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then they have they signed me up for off-road courses, which were so good. I learned so much on those courses. And I think like you should keep learning, like keep taking courses, because you're never gonna be the best.
Nata, when was the first time you realized that life in Switzerland is too tame and you need to get out?
I I think I never realized. I'm just born like that. There is not a story of a point of realization of something. It's just, I mean, when you're a kid, you're just a kid and you think that life is whatever you see and that's it. And then you become a teenager, so it's probably around from 12 to 15 when you start to become like yourself and grow up and have your own thinking and questioning life and everything. And for me, it was always like the feeling here was all, I mean, for me, it was the world and the entire life. So I was like, life is shit. Like, I was like, what is this shit? I don't want this. You know, the typical teenager questioning of
Rebellion.
life and yeah, then the parents saying, what do you want to study? And I'm like, everything looks so boring. What is this shit? Like, really? Like, what I could see that this society and life was offering me, I was like, I don't even want to live. If this is a life, I don't want to live like this. I don't know what I'm doing here. And slowly, actually way older than maybe I look or I hope, there was no internet at that time.
I
It sounds
remember
weird to
those
say.
years. It's okay.
Yeah,
I
there was no
remember.
internet. There was no way of finding information. The only way of getting information about even next doors, another country or whatever, was to go to the library and actively search for it. But if you don't know what you're searching, you don't go search for it. So that was the limitation of my head, was whatever people around me would tell me, adults would show me. But slowly internet started showing up, and I remember I had a laptop with whatever Google was at that time, and that's when slowly I started discovering, oh, there is a planet, there are other continents, what's
Okay.
going on there, because I need to run away from this. And I will remember forever, I was probably like 16 or something, 15, 16. I said, I'm going to travel and explore till I find a place where I can be myself. So the day I find, and if I don't find, if I visit all the countries in the world and there's not a place where I can feel like I can be myself, I'm just going to kill myself, because this planet is not for me. I also have a way too strong character that is more like, so that was always more like, more the warrior character than the
That was your
self-development
teenage
character.
rebellion. It's a
Yes,
teenage
yes,
rebellion.
yes.
You don't like, but I had a teenage rebellion too, and I went a year in Switzerland. Can you believe
Oh
it?
no,
Oh,
such a
When
bad
I was
move.
16, I went to Switzerland, and then I understood that I like Romania. But
Oh
I did
no.
like
Oh
Switzerland.
no.
I liked it, but it was, I understand. I don't know. I was in the German part. I did an
Oh my
exchange
God.
year. So I
I'm
lived with
sorry for
a
you.
Swiss. No, it was a good experience because I learned to be alone. I was living with a family. I was 16 and I'm still in contact with them. I just been to Switzerland and
Oh.
I
That's
met
nice.
with my host brother and we partied all night. So it was great. Of course. But I did learn a lot in Switzerland, you know.
Thanks God I'm in the French part, so I'm already a bit saved.
Yeah.
Because we're way more Latino here. And I haven't lived in Switzerland since I'm 18. So that's 20 years of not living in Switzerland.
When
Sorry.
did you realize that traveling is not something that you do, but is something that you are?
Has been since always.
Okay.
For me, it's just, there is no other way of being. It's like those kind of things that you're just born with. Like if you're a musician, everything in your life is music and it's just obvious. You hear music and you already know what instrument it is or whatever, you know, this kind of thing. It's not like motorbike that you at some point discover, fall in love with, and start enjoying.
Yeah.
This is really something internal, maybe like also like sexual orientation. It's not
Yeah.
something you really
People.
choose, it's in you since ever. And the travel thing is really in me since ever. That's why I really feel like I'm nomadic. There's something in me that just can't live another way. And it's not about wanting something, it's just really being this.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like I need to go explore a new country or discover something like in a holiday vibe or in a cultural exploration or whatever. It's, I don't know how to explain, but when I see all those documentaries on nomadic tribes, cultures, for me it's just so obvious. It's like the only thing that I could also do is yeah, it's just so natural for me. It's like something about the weather also. Like the birds, the migratory birds, I
Oh
feel
yeah.
them so much. Like I literally traveled this year up north and I saw the same birds in Switzerland, in Holland, and then up in Norway because they were actually going up north with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started going down, and my aunt loved birds, so she's always sharing a picture of what comes and goes and everything. And she was actually, when I was going down, I was like in Finland or something, she was starting to put pictures again from the bird that went
They were
down again.
coming back.
Yeah. But now I'm
That's so
late on them
cute.
because they're going to Africa. And here I should
And you
go.
stopped a
Go
bit.
to Africa.
Started riding motorcycles. And what motorcycles did you have in all these years?
I think I started with like 2022. One year when I came back to Switzerland to visit my family, my mom was like, "Guess what your dad got?" So like, I have no idea. And he opened the garage and it was a motorbike. So like, what
Wow.
is this?
He's a modern dad.
And then I really, he never was a biker during the time he was my dad, but he actually did some like mini racing with sidecar. But you know, like in the,
Oh,
I don't know, he was maybe 20, so that was 1970. Like
cool.
the picture is black and white. Him and a friend, they were doing this little sidecar racing, but the sidecar was just a flat thing, and you would just lean on the thing,
Yeah, right. Just to keep
you
in the
know?
corners. Yeah.
Yeah. So
The curves.
the rider, and he was the leaning guy, and then he had
Oh,
small bikes, and you know, I picture this very black and white 1970 kind of movie, you know, like all
yeah.
very old school, where you had like super simple bikes, like pure mechanic, and he would just ride around without a helmet or whatever, you know, like
Oh my
all
god.
those old picture kind of thing. That's really how I picture it. Obviously, he took me for a ride as a passenger, but then I remember I was like, I want that thing too. I also want a bike. And it
Yes.
probably didn't last. It probably was the same summer, or I don't know. What's fun is that I already had a lot of personality because I chose a completely different bike of his. I don't remember what was his bike, but he always had this typical street bike, you know, just the classic dad's
Naked.
bike.
Mhm.
Now he has, I think, a Kawasaki, and before that he had a Honda. But you know, like typical emoji, bike emoji, those
Yes.
kind of bikes. And I went for a kind of shopper style.
Okay. But I
Completely
think a
different
chopper
style.
is
I
very
wanted a
attractive when you start. It looks
yeah,
very good. And how long did you have it for?
I still have it.
You
Oh,
still have it.
oh. But you ride it?
I'm
Ah,
considering now maybe finally selling it,
No.
because all these times that I was living
no.
in South America, when I would come back here, it was practical to have a bike because then
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
ride around. So it was, usually people have a scooter for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like when they go
You're like, no,
at their little
I have
too
scooter.
that.
little.
I had that bike and I still have it, but now I really don't use it anymore.
Okay. But don't sell it yet. Wait.
But it has been many years and I think it just gets bad if I'm not using it at all.
Mhm.
I had
And
the
this is under
same
25,
thing
so
when I left Sweden. I had to sell my project bike, and it was the second bike I have ever owned, and it was like it's like your heart, but I understand you, Nata, because it's once you start traveling, it's just it doesn't make sense that you have one thing just sitting in one
yeah.
place.
Yeah,
No,
you
and
didn't use it.
now it's really heartbreaking to see it just sitting there, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
getting rusty, dusty.
Mm.
Mm.
If I would use it every year, I would like, oh, I'm coming back, I use it next year, and then I use
Mm.
it again, and I feel like, okay, it's
Mm.
worth having it. But now it really just doesn't make sense.
So you
Mm.
bought the Honda Rebel. So did you do a big motorcycle trip with it?
No,
No.
because I was not even living here. I don't remember the exact timing of everything, but it was the idea of having a bike for the summer when I come
Mhm. Mhm.
visit. And then I actually failed my license, like all of us
Same.
apparently.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Mm.
all the nomadic women travelers, I mean, you're not the ones that I already spoke to, they also failed their license. And I think it's such a, I think
Mm.
it gives you a boost, somehow, you
It
know what?
does.
I'm going to be better at this than everybody
Yes.
else.
Yeah. Like next time I'm gonna get it.
Yeah,
And it's gonna
Yeah,
be
for me
better than everyone.
it was
exactly.
so unfair because it was at the braking test. Like it's all the same test that we already mentioned here in the podcast. It was the last test before going to the road. And it was like ride fast and brake.
Yeah.
And I did it well, but he was like, yeah, you could do it a bit faster. Just do it one more time. I was like, okay. And yeah, super nervous and everything. And it was one of those wet days. I don't know what,
Yeah.
probably October, November, something. I did it again, braking very well and everything. But then from braking so strongly, and my foot slipped on the wet floor and I
Yeah.
couldn't hold the bike.
Oh,
And I fall.
No.
And
and he
falling
No.
failed you
is
for that.
game over.
Even if you did it before,
Yeah.
he could have been nice. He could have
Yeah.
just said, yeah.
Yeah, and I was so pissed. And I think still now telling the story, I'm still frustrated and
Yeah,
feeling
I
really
feel it. I
weird
feel
about
your
it.
frustration. I mean, if you
Like,
did it
yeah,
once, good, and then he just made you do it
why did he
again.
ask me to do it again? Yeah, he was like, oh, yeah, maybe you could do it a bit better. Well, I didn't do better.
But then
And
also
that
even
was,
like professional people drop their bike when it's standing still.
but it was so unfair because it was wet floor and everything. And in Switzerland, you only have your license, like the learning license, for 3 months. And because it was winter and they were closing the
And you had to
test
wait
and blah,
for.
I lost that. So, and then I was
No.
traveling again. So I actually left without having a
Oh,
license. And
Did
with
you
this
ride
kind
with
of
it?
trauma thing, and it took me actually several years. I don't remember
Oh.
how everything went to decide to do it all over again when I was living in Colombia.
oh,
So I started from
Oh.
scratch. I did all the courses again, and there were way more courses there. You had to go to theory courses, classes,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Oh.
mm-hmm.
not just read your thing and then do the test.
Yeah.
So I did those courses, and then the training. I had to do training also with a teacher, but I
Mm-hmm.
knew how to ride, so we had nothing to do because I already knew everything. So we would just go and have coffee.
Oh,
So you
nice.
had to do. You
because
had
it
to
was like
do the
I
hours.
literally have to teach you how to use a clutch and so I don't know what to teach you. And then when I passed the test, because there it's the teacher or the school itself giving you the license. Like they
Mm.
do a
Okay.
final test. It's
So
not
it's
like
not
the
the
police or
police
whatever.
coming in.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the teacher was a huge fat guy.
Oh, and you had
Like
to ride with him as a
I had
passenger,
to
right?
ride with him as a passenger.
Oh,
But
nice.
he was such an amazing motivational guy, so
Oh.
positive. He was like, "You gotta, of course you got this. This is easy.
Oh.
You're not even gonna feel me." And he was like huge like that. I'm like, "Oh my god, I
But
don't
they
want to do
know,
that."
they're
In
very good.
Switzerland,
They know
it's not
how to
allowed to take
stay
people.
or how to sit on the motorcycle. You don't feel their weight.
Yeah.
So they're
So I was
very
like, "Oh
good.
my god, I'm gonna fall. Oh my god, oh my god." And I did it, and it changed my life. I didn't feel him. And I made it super easy. Like, oh my god, I'm capable of taking passengers because in Switzerland it's not allowed, so you cannot train that. So yeah, and then I got my license, and I was so happy, so
Aw.
happy.
So which was your first big motorcycle trip that you had, that you took?
How big is big?
Well, bigger, not 2 days, like a week, a year, a month. I don't know. The first trip
Um,
that you
I did
went
it
on a motorcycle. Let's say.
when I was back in Europe. I went to live in Barcelona, and I
I love
bought
how she lives everywhere. When I was in
I
Colombia, I
like
did
that.
this. When I was in Barcelona, oh, dream life. Go on. Sorry,
Yeah.
go on.
the nomadic life.
Yeah, I love it.
I bought. I don't remember if it was just before COVID or after COVID because I wanted to travel and COVID happened, so it just messed with all the plans. I took a mechanic class and then I buy the Himalayan, which was not very famous and people didn't recommend too much,
Yeah.
or I
Same.
buy the BMW F700 because it was cheap and had a lower seat.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
think it's a lower seat than the Himalayan in theory. So I bought that bike and I think I instantly regretted. It was so heavy, bulky. I
Mm.
was so scared of this
Which one
bike,
did you buy? Sorry, which one?
the BMW F700
Mhm.
GS, like a very old
Yeah,
GS.
I know. I've read.
And yeah, I think I instantly regretted. And I had all those things like, oh, this is for men. It's too big for me. I
Mm.
don't have the strength. What to do? I'm not capable. And it was just so heavy on
Yeah.
top. Like sometimes even it's Barcelona, it's flat. In a parking space, I would have to ask people to push it out for me because it was so
Really?
heavy I
Mm.
couldn't push it out.
What's your height?
I'm 165,
Oh, but you're not so small.
50 kilos.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a
she's small.
normal tiny person.
He's small.
Yeah. She's small?
Very small. Yeah, very small. And like
Okay.
I feel like I'm very short and Nata is small.
But you're not
Next
that
to
much
me,
taller, no? You're 170, I think.
160, 67,
Yeah,
168
so
You
if I.
have a different size chart here. So I'm 174 on a good day.
Oh, tall.
73 maybe. So I have long legs, so I can stand on my toes on a big GS Adventure 1300.
yeah.
I can
Oh,
stand on my toes.
dream.
Okay. So
It's something.
you bought the GS F700 and it was too heavy, and you went. Did you go on a trip
Oh
and?
yeah, then I had to pay parking to put it in because it was not safe to have it outside in
Oh,
Barcelona. And I couldn't
Really?
afford good parking, of course. So I found a very cheap parking spot that was probably not even a parking spot, just a little extra hole where they could fit a bike and get some
oh,
extra money.
In
And
an
it was the
underground, you mean?
third underground,
Okay.
and it was turning like this. So you can imagine going uphill slowly and turning.
It's good
The bike
practice.
turned off and I
I like
fall,
uphill. Oh no.
and
It's
the bike got hooked in the metal
ooh,
Railing.
how you call
railing.
it,
The railing.
safety, Yes.
Railing. Mhm.
So of course I couldn't pick it up anymore. It was hooked and hooked, pulling
Oh.
down because it was uphill.
Oh,
I had to go
yeah.
out to the street and ask two random guys that I saw there. What strong men? Hello, can you please help me?
Really?
It's not a trap, but can you
It's a
please
trap.
like, 3
But
feet
Spanish
in the
men are
car?
nice. I mean, I'm sure they wanted to
Yeah,
help.
yeah, yeah. They were actually Latinos, so I felt like at home.
Yeah.
They were from South America.
They were like, "Sí,
Very
mi
Oh, good.
amor."
close to,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, and they laughed because they were like, "Oh yeah, woman."
Yeah. Oh my
But
god.
then something broke, and then the battery was dead, and that bike just
Oh.
sits there for months. And I had again this kind of trauma that I didn't want it to face. And at
Mm.
some point, I was like, okay, I have to do something about it. It's spring. Let's do something. I think it was like April, March or April. And all my friends were like, you should go for just a 1-2 hour ride with someone to get used to the bike slowly. I was like, yeah, no, that's not my style. I decided to go on a 1 week road trip all on my own.
Of course you did. She's not
And
very
I'm like,
sociable. She's like, I'll go
like,
alone.
if I fail, no one is gonna see me, so I don't have the pressure.
Oh.
Mm, yeah.
And that was the thing. I was like, I don't want to ride with a dude behind me watching every fucking mistake I do and telling me what to do.
Yeah.
I started school in summer with the idea that I was going to have my exam in spring. I didn't want to have it in autumn because of the weather. You know how
Yes,
you say
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
raining and like that. So I waited until spring, but then it was a very long winter, and then COVID struck, and I had to
Oh
wait
no,
another 2 months because everything shut down, and then all my blood tests and everything that you do, everything
was
expired
not valid anymore. Yeah,
again.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but the test, I think I didn't do the test. I did everything together. So you had to pass the theoretical test and then do the thing. And then I lost. I told you I lost my idea. I had to go again. But on the day I should have taken my test, it was raining. And then on the day
Mm,
I did take my test, it was sunshine and wonderful weather. So everything was perfect. So in a way, I was lucky that I didn't fail it
To miss
really.
the first
I
time. Yeah.
didn't like I wasn't there. They said that you didn't come to the test. So that's how I failed it the first time. But yeah, I think after that I started really writing a lot because it was the pandemic. You couldn't do anything else. You couldn't go out. So we were writing the whole time,
Oh,
whole weekends going
nice.
every weekend, the whole weekend from Friday to Sunday night. And you weren't really allowed to go so much, but I think it was the only type of traveling that was allowed because you could, for example, when
You're
you had
just
to,
one person.
yeah, no, we were several of us, but we were all wearing helmets. You went into the gas shop to pay for the gas with the helmet on. So they were
Oh, you
happy.
can do that?
You didn't have to put you didn't have to put the mask because you were wearing a closed
Mm.
helmet, and we were like screaming to the people, they couldn't hear us. But
Oh,
you're not allowed actually. I think by law you have to take it off
yeah.
because
In
they have to
Sweden,
film
you
you.
have to
Yeah.
take it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but during COVID, they were like, "Oh, thank you for wearing the helmet because you keep your COVID
Oh.
there inside."
Oh.
Everybody was crazy.
keep,
We had
keep
three
your germs.
people sick here, and
Keep
everybody
your
was shut
COVID
down.
inside the helmet.
Okay, so Adina, what are you riding now? What's your motorcycle?
Oh, actually, so right now I haven't officially told my Instagram people that I'm in Australia, but I have arrived in Australia and I have gotten a bike. So right now my decision for my big road trip in Australia is going to be a Royal Enfield
Oh,
650 Interceptor, and
nice.
it's a 2022 model, and it has around 7,000 kilometers, so it's
Pretty
pretty
new.
good. There hasn't been ridden a lot, and the previous owner was a girl rider, so I really like that. She
Did you
she had
buy
been
it?
riding it. Yes, I bought it. It
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. I'm so happy. It's so pretty. But I was very torn because I was thinking of getting another Himalayan again, a Royal Enfield, because I've had one before. I know how they work, and I really like that kind of off-road bike. but I was kind of feeling Australia is just so big. It
Mhm.
just
And
has
flat.
these
And yeah,
massive flat stretches.
Mhm.
yeah.
And on a Royal Enfield, it's a single cylinder bike and it vibrates quite a lot.
Mhm.
And also it's a 411 cc. I think it's a,
Oh
a
my God.
tinier motor. And I remember on the highways in Germany going
Yeah.
back up to Sweden, I was
Yeah.
just hammered, man. Like my butt was hurting, my hands were like weird
Yeah.
dinging, like when I was touching my fingers. And I just felt like, no, on this trip, I need a little bit bigger bike.
Why
And
not the new
also,
Kimi?
I tried that one. But it is so top heavy. It is
Yeah.
heavier than
That's
the
like the same
2019
also.
model.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, no, I won't
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
And then I actually got to ride a friend's, or should I say a date? I went on a date with a guy who had an Interceptor, and he let me try it. And then I was just like,
You're like, I
wow.
don't like the guy, but I like the bike.
no, no, but the motorcycle was amazing, and I was like, wow, I can put both feet down, and it's super pretty. Like it has the old headlight, and
Is
it
it the
has
blue
these
one
like
with the lines?
no, it's a white one with red on the bottom. So it's white
Okay.
with
Yeah.
red on the bottom. But it's
Yeah.
so pretty. It's so pretty. And yeah, so I was just like, yeah, why not? And there were actually two bikes in this area that I'm in, because also in Australia, since it's so far. But yeah, and then I rode it back up to Cairns. So that took me a little bit faster. So like around 4.5 hours, 5 hours. I took some breaks as well.
Did you like
And yeah,
sleep there, or did you do all the trip in one day?
I did it all the entire trip in one day, and I got back just when it got dark. So I was a little bit afraid because we have a lot of kangaroos on the road, and they're kind of like deer in Europe. Like if
Yeah,
you were
they
Yeah.
to
just
compare.
pass and you can hit them, right? But
Um,
did
but
you
but
enjoy the ride?
Oh my God, yeah. It was beautiful. And Australia is so beautiful. It's so big. Like it's just so huge. And in Cairns, like before you get into Cairns, there are some mountain areas. And it was just and kind of like plains areas as well. So there was like open fields, and then the sky was opening up, and then you see sunlight, and then right now, I'm staying in Cairns to save money. So I'm working on the boat to get experience for diving, but also to save money to go on this trip. So that's usually how I travel. Like I'll try and save up a chunk of money. I don't have any kind of income coming from somewhere else, but I will stay in one place and I will work, save. And then once I feel like I'm comfortable and I have a little savings, then I can go. But I'm trying to just plan that out and pinpoint like the really big things that I want to see, and then talking to people, because that's, I think, is one of the best ways to travel. Like if
Yes.
people have been somewhere and they show you like their memories and their highlights of Australia or wherever you go, you can kind of take that and be like, oh, this person really said that they like this. And if you know that person a little bit more, you know kind of how they are and what they
You know if
like,
you're
and
gonna
if you're
like them
similar,
or yeah.
you
Yeah.
know that
Like
you're
you
gonna
know
like it.
if you
Yeah.
should go or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
People always
So
ask me why I'm not planning my trips, and that's, I think, the reason number one.
Hmm.
When you
Yeah.
get
because
there, that's where you get the best information and
tips.
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
The first beer that you have there with somebody, and then they tell you all about the travelers. We've been
Yeah.
on a sabbatical year, my husband and I, and we traveled in Southeast Asia, in the
Oh,
States,
wow.
Spain and Tenerife, and then Southeast Asia again. So I
Oh,
have lived a bit of a nomadic backpacking life for years. So I understand the feeling and I miss it a lot. So don't get back to reality. Stay there because it's better. I would go again, but yeah, we also weren't working during this time, so
yeah.
we just had savings. So we had the budget, and we had to stay within the budget so that we,
Budget.
yeah. But tell me, because you mentioned money, so you're working for a while, traveling, working, so you don't have any income coming from your social media or from collaborations? Nothing?
No, So right now that's like, and I talked to Nata about this as well. She helped me so much. It was so fun to do our Indonesia trip. Not just because she's such a good human being and really fun to be around, and we're so similar in so many ways, but also
Like
she
you had
is like
the office job going on. Crazy.
but she really is such a, also like I see her as my inspiration, and I remember the first message I sent to you, Nata. I was like, I think it was something like, "Oh, you're my role model. It's so
And you're like,
cool
oh
that
no.
you're writing to me. Like, I'm no one. Why do you want to talk to me? And you're so cool, and your photography is like incredible, and I just want to learn like so much from you." And I really, really did on that Indonesian trip. Like, you taught me so much about photography and starting your own business, because that's what I want to do with my social media as well. And you gave me so many tips, and I really want to try and start making it work as kind of like an income as well. But it is a very hard job, and I don't think most like people realize like how much time and energy and also sacrifices you have to do to really
Yeah.
make it work.
I
And
think people imagine it with their own savings and their own life, and as an extra, they go on a 1 year holiday kind of thing.
Like we
yeah,
They
did.
picture it like, yeah, they
Yeah.
picture it like that thing.
Yeah, but if you
mm,
They
have
used
to
to
work
sacrifice
and you
more.
have to create content doing this, I think it's very complicated to balance being in the present with creating
yeah,
content.
yeah.
So how do you do this? This is a question for
There
both
is
of
no
you.
balance.
There is, yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually struggling a lot with it, because it's like I want to have a personal life. Like, I would really like to have a relationship. Like, I'm dating, and I want to find someone. But it's hard to fit it in. And right now I'm seeing someone in Cairns, but like also like you, like Nata kind of said, it's also kind of hard to find that person that wants to do what you kind of want to do. And I could
Especially while
think of,
doing it. I think
Then
it's
you
yeah,
cannot
actually
say,
hard.
saying, "Oh, I'm leaving in 3 months for a road trip."
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's
So
not
it's
fair for them unless the person comes with you. But that would be like a
yeah,
match in heaven.
like if you have yeah, if you've talked about it and you both want the same thing, then that's perfect. But
Yeah.
it's a really hard thing. And then also trying to balance, like you said, like you have to plan your money, like what would be your budget. um and yeah, so for right now, how I'm solving it is just when I'm traveling, I try to live as cheaply as I can, and I try to save my money, and I might not eat like the best food because I try to save it. And then I work really hard, and then yeah, I'm trying to build that kind of partnership where I get paid as well. But it's very hard, especially if you don't have like 100K or even like 1 million followers. A lot of people will say it's not worth it. And
Yeah, I think it's
right now
getting
I'm
harder.
mm, right now
It
I'm
was
stuck at
years ago.
21.
Yeah.
Mm. So
There are
it's
a lot of
like,
there are a lot of content creators now also.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And a lot of people accepting everything for free. So that's easy
yeah,
publicity for the brands.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of unpacking here. Your answer took me to a million questions. So I'm gonna
That's an
come
entire
back. So
podcast, content creator on the road.